everybody, welcome to the Very Vibrant Makeup channel. I am actually going to come on here and talk about some eyeshadow palettes that I own. It's going to be kind of like a, not a vanity tour because my vanity's a mess right now, but kind of showing you what I have as far as eyeshadows because I use a lot of eyeshadows. That's my favorite thing to purchase. If there's a new palette out, I get excited because I do a lot with it. I mix and match. I use every single eyeshadow palette I own, and you will see that from my collection. So I'm going to be showing you my eyeshadow collection. So since I am packing, I kind of put away the ones that I'm not going to be using at the moment, and then I took out the ones that I'm going to be using a lot until I actually move. So the ones that I picked are going to be the Naked Heat palette by Urban Decay, and I did a kind of like a little bit of a swatch and demonstration about this palette on a video, so I'll link that down below. But this one's a really good everyday palette, so I wanted to have it out so that I can kind of go through and use this a lot. So I have that one as one of my top three. The next one that I have, excuse my hair, I hate parting my hair in the middle because it just puffs up weird. But anyways, my Huda Beauty palette, and I have not done a video on this. I was supposed to do it, but I decided, you know, that with time and everything, it just gets away from me. I do work a full-time position at Ulta. I'm the prestige sales manager at my Ulta, and I'm a mom, a wife. I do a lot of stuff, and I'm in the process of moving, so I haven't really did a video on this, but if you'd like me to do a demonstration, I'm actually wearing the palette on my eyes right now. I have Flamingo in my crease, which is this really pretty pink one. I have this one. This one is called Dubai. This one's in the outer corner. And I have Rose Gold and Trust Fund on my inner corner. This one I do have to apply with my fingers just because they're kind of like that loose, gritty, really thick consistency. And I have Angelic, which is that Rose Gold in the inner corner. And then on the lower lash line I have hashtag Bless right here. And then I did smoke out my lower lash line with Sandalwood, which is this color right here. So I have this on my eyes today. If you'd like me to do an eyeshadow look using the Huda Beauty palette, doing a tutorial, let me know in the comments down below. But this one is one of my favorite palettes thus far. Another one of my favorite palettes that I didn't think I was going to like, and this is the one that I have, the ones that I have out, is the Tarte Make Believe in Yourself palette. I love this palette, and as you can tell, I have used it extensively. I don't normally like purples, but I've been using Fairy and Trans a lot. So I'm using these two colors as like halo colors. So I'll put the Fairy, which is the darker purple, on the outer corner and the inner corner, and then I will put Trans in the middle, and I just absolutely love that look. And then I always use Myth in my crease, which is the only matte shade in the palette, and I'm not fond of the actual highlighter, and I'll show you why. It's very dry and kind of gritty looking. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's not very evenly distributed. So I'll use this to kind of pop it in the corner and just kind of jazz up my look. But I always love using Crystal, which is more of that brighter, well, it's a lighter kind of like purplish color, purplish mauve. And this one, so pretty and smooth. That one I like to pop in my inner corner as well because it's very pretty. So I actually use Fairy, Trans, and Crystal and Myth a lot. And I do use Wings a lot as well, which is a beautiful like coppery shade. Love that shade. It's really pretty. So I do use this palette a lot. This is like for accents, or I use them together, or if I want to use any cool tones, they do have some cool tones in it. So now let's get into the palettes that I put away but are also in my collection. So I actually have my palette stored in this Urban Decay box I had gotten at work because this was one of our Aventina boxes, and I decided, I asked my boss, can I have that box because I'm packing my stuff and this would work great for my makeup. So I emptied out all the like fillings, like the little, what do they call those noodles, those packing noodles, put them in the trash, and then I just took the box home so that I can pack my stuff in it, because I'm taking a lot of boxes from work home so that I can pack all my stuff. But this was perfect for all my eyeshadow palettes. It's very heavy. So I'm going to open it and show you what I have. I gotta set it down real quick. Whew, that's heavy. So let's start out with my favorite palettes, and I don't have these in the box in any specific order. I just kind of packed it, and I actually need to repack it because I've been shifting through it. But now that I've picked out my 3 palettes that I'm going to be using, that I've kept out, then I can actually go through this. So, as you know, I have a lot of videos on this, the Juvia's Place eyeshadow palettes. I have the Magic by Juvia's Place, and this one is those ones that consist of warm and cool tones. I've done 2 looks on those ones. I will link those down below. It's my Moon Goddess one, which I use these ones, and then my Sun Goddess ones, which I use these ones right here. This one's a good palette, but it's really big. The next palette that I really like is my Nubian 2 palette, and this one has kind of like similar shades to the Kat Von D Serpentina palette, except it doesn't have that beautiful color like blood milk in that palette. This one doesn't have any reds, and it actually has a real pretty burnt orange, and it's very dry consistency, but it's very nice. See, as you can see, it's very pigmented. So these shadows are my favorite. I've used them a lot, and this one's one of my favorite ones. I love any browns that have a little bit of taupe in it. So pretty. So yeah, I love this palette. I really do. I need to use it a lot more. So if you want to see more tutorials on this palette, I'm definitely going to start using that. But I do have to wait till after I move, which will be end of August, because I want to pack these guys away. In the meantime, I'm going to actually be doing a lot of tutorials, or even showing you my collections so that I can repack it. But if you want to see any of these palettes from my collection in this video, I can definitely do some looks. I'll pull them out for you, and I will do some tutorials on that. So, my next palette is the Masquerade palette by Juvia's Place, and this one is more of that rainbow, pretty palette. This is the Masquerade Mini. After seeing, and I think this is the size of the Masquerade palette, the regular Masquerade palette, this thing is huge. So I decided to just get, before I saw the Magic one, I got the Masquerade Mini because I feel like this one is just perfect. I really don't use these as often, but I use them a lot. I think the only color I really haven't touched is Zulu. I don't know why, I haven't really touched that one. But I've touched Chi a lot, as you can see. It's a beautiful, like, purplish blue. And I just love the way these look. It looks more blue on camera, but it's like a violet, a true violet. Alright, and then I have the Zulu by Juvia's, and this one is more of those bright colors. This has less, but it has huge pans. My favorite color has to be, out of all of them, has to be this really pretty turquoise color. As you can see, it's super pigmented. And like I said, I have swatches and reviews or try-ons on these palettes, so I will link those down below. Next one I have is the Sahara by Juvia's Place, and I do have a video on that as well, just on this guy, but I really do love this palette. Sokoto is my favorite shade because it's that beautiful, like, it looks orange in the pan, but it's actually a really pretty coral. Alright, last but not least, from Juvia's Place, I have the Nubian palette. This is the first palette they came out with. I love this palette. It's similar to the Heat palette, but not as coppery. So if you love the concept of the Heat palette from Urban Decay, but you don't like that super intense coppery, then I would probably suggest you try this guy because it's pretty nice. The only thing I don't like about this one is it doesn't have a brow bone highlight. And I did notice in the Magic palette, they have a brow bone highlight. So I'm very happy. So I have to pull this guy or a little palette just to kind of get that going. Alright, so let's, and excuse my bed. I didn't make my bed in the back, but anyways. A lot of people stopped liking this brand for a while, but I still love this brand, and that's Lime Crime. I really do love the Venus palette. It actually beat my Anastasia Beverly Hills, the Modern Renaissance palette. Since then, I've actually used that palette so much I've already kind of passed it on. I'm done with it. So I usually don't keep palettes if I'm like, if I look at it and I'm like, I'm not inspired, then I kind of like pass it on. But this one is Venus 1 palette. This is by far the best like blood red color I could find. It's so pigmented and it's so beautiful. It's a little drier formula, but it is my favorite red in all of my collection. Honestly, it's my favorite red. And I do love using this in my crease if I'm going to do a red look. But however, I just don't, I mean, I've used it quite a bit, but I just feel like there should have been a nice neutral transition. This one is kind of a darker transition. It's not really a, I mean, it looks lighter, but I don't know. It's like I want it a little bit warmer than that instead of it being so cool. But yeah, I do love the Venus 1 palette. I use it a lot. It's one of my favorite palettes. The Venus 2 was kind of lackluster for me, so this is what the Venus 2 looks like. This, I actually typically use it in the fall because it's got more of those autumn kind of colors. However, I do love, what is this, mustard? It's a beautiful, and I actually was supposed to do like a mustard look with a vampy lip today, but I'm like, meh, whatever. I'll do that tomorrow. I think I'll do that tomorrow. Should I film it? I think I should film it. So I'm actually filming this on a Thursday. It's my sister's birthday today. So happy birthday or belated birthday by the time I post this to my older sister. I think I'm going to film a mustard look with a vampy lip tomorrow if I have time. Because I do take my kids to daycare. So hopefully I can get ready earlier. But anyways, I do love this palette, but I just don't use it as much, but I'm not throwing this out. I really, really want to keep this because I just love the artwork on the Venus 2 palette. Alright, so now I'm going to dig into my Kat Von D palettes because these guys I have a lot of. I used to have the, what do you call it, the Monarch palette, the Chrysalis palette, and the Shade Light palette, as well as there was one more. I had 4 of them. I have a video from a long time ago on that palette, on those palettes specifically. I think it was, let's see, Chrysalis, Monarch, Shade and Light. Oh, and the Interstellar palette. It was the Interstellar palette. I have used those to death, so since then they're not in my collection anymore. I should have kept them for just collector's purposes, but I hate clutter, so I just can't, like moving is driving me nuts because I just hate clutter. But anyways, I did have those palettes in the past. I think I might repurchase the Shade Light palette, but it's so similar to my Urban Decay Naked Basics palette that I'm like, meh, do I really need it? Anyways, but I do have, let's see, the first palette that I've actually kept, and I haven't used that much, but I've used it, is the Mi Vida Loca palette from Kat Von D. This was a collector's edition from, I think, 2 years ago. This I'm keeping because I love the concept of the color wheel. I'm an artist, and this is actually up my alley. This is so pretty. I have used it. I've used Lemmy a lot. I actually used it to film a Medusa look. And then my camera just totally, or my computer crashed at the time. So yeah, I use that quite a bit. But I think I'm going to start breaking this out. So if you want to see a tutorial using this, let me know. Because I can definitely use this for my mustard look as well tomorrow. So I might just keep this guy out for now so that I can film some videos. But yeah, this is the Mi Vida Loca. It slides out. That's my only gripe, is it slides. It's so big. It slides out of this like kind of record thing, but it's kind of cool. So I really love this palette. And then I have, this is a bulky palette too. This is the Metal Matte palette. I love doing that. It's so fun. My husband bought me this for my birthday this past year in 2016. Oh my gosh, this is getting everywhere. Tinsel is like a messy color, but I do use this quite a bit. I think the only shades I haven't really touched, or I've touched but not much, has to be Ribbon and Silk. I haven't really used those much, but I need to use them, so I need to really I think I'm just going to have a series of revisiting, because I did a revisit from the Serpentina palette. I think I'm going to do a series where I'm going to revisit some palettes. So let me know in the comments down below what kind of palettes you want to revisit. And you can pull from, because every single palette I show you in this video is what I have on hand. So let me know which palette you want to see in a tutorial, so that way if you do have it, then you can just pull that out and get inspiration from it again. But yeah, this is the Metal Matte palette. I really do like it. It's a little bit, you know, cool for me, but I do like it. So sometimes if I want to warm it up a lot more, then I do pull from like my what is it, my honey palette from Too Faced and my peanut butter palette. So yeah, I love this palette. It's very big. And then I have the Serpentina palette, which I do have a video on this. Again, I will link that down below. Any videos that I have these palettes in, I'll link that down below. But if you want me to do a different look, I definitely will do that. So this one has those beautiful colors in it. Like I said, it's similar to the Nubian 2, but, and I will film a comparison between the two, but this one has that beautiful like blood, oops, I just dipped in the wrong one, that, and it's really creamy and smooth, that blood red, but it's not as red as my Venus 1 palette from Lime Crime. See, this one is a little bit more subdued. It's not as dark. See, it's a little bit more. This one's the Lime Crime, and then this one is the Kat Von D. This one is more orangey red, and then this one is more cranberry red. So there's a difference between the two. But I can't have, I mean, if you have a lot of reds, cool. I love reds. But I do love this palette. I'm glad I repurchased it because I used my old one to death. I used it all up, so, and I normally don't do that, but honestly, for a long time, and I didn't film a whole lot of looks on this palette because I was just so busy with everything else. But I mean, I really did love this palette, and I still love it. And then I have the Pastel Goth, which I really do like. I'm not a fan of pastels, but I think I need to use this guy a little bit more. So I do have it. As you can tell, I have used it a little bit more. Oh, I got a little crack in mine. My favorite shade out of all of them has to be Meow. Meow is like a beautiful, like, I don't know if you can see it on camera, lilac-y purple, pink, and then they do have a cooler tone, which is dope. I love Clementine as well. It's a beautiful transition shade. It's that beautiful peach shade, and I do have a video using this palette for the first time. And then last but not least, out of my Kat Von D palettes, oh my goodness. No, so I thought there was eyeshadow in my box. I was like, no, something busted. But it is the Heart, the Too Faced and Kat Von D collaboration. This is the Kat Von D portion. I gave the Too Faced one, the portion, to my niece because honestly, I don't really use, I didn't like the Too Faced anyways, and then my niece is obsessed with Too Faced, so I was like, this whole collaboration was actually just like me and her in a nutshell. We're both really obsessed with makeup, so I kept the Kat Von D portion because that's more my style, and the Too Faced is more her style. So this is what it looks like. I've used Swoon a lot. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite red of all time because it is a metallic red. I mean, no joke. I wish they had this in a huge, ginormous pan. I would like just all of these to be filled with Swoon because that is my favorite eyeshadow thus far. I have not really played with a Darling, which is this kind of gunmetal pewter kind of color. There we go. It's not my favorite. I mean, it's, there's nothing special about it. But like Swoon just takes the cake. I love. My Urban Decay palette collection has dwindled down quite a bit. I had the Ultimate Basics, which actually transferred to a kit that I'm starting so that I can do some makeup for fun, or, you know, play around with it, get some practice, or, you know, if someone says, hey, can you do my makeup? And I'll be like, oh yeah, sure, I've got it in my kit. So and if you want me to do a video about that, I can definitely do that. It's just a bunch of stuff I've bought for cheap, and it's nothing expensive. The only thing that's pretty pricey in there is the Ultimate Basics. But I love that palette. I just kind of got over it. So I was like, yeah, I think I don't want to give it away or anything. I just still want to have it because I want people to see the love that I have for that palette when I create looks. And they're very daytime appropriate on all the guests that I have in my store. That's the palette. They're like, I'm looking for a neutral look, something to make my eyes look a little bit wider. That is the palette I go to, and that is the palette I trust. So anyways, besides my Naked Heat palette, I mean, I've had the Naked 3 palette, which I used till it was dead. I got that as a Christmas present from my husband 3 years ago, but I really used that to death. I don't think I had any other ones. I did have the Naked one, but I hated that palette because it just didn't stick to my eyes. The Naked 3 did okay. And then I don't think I've had anything else but that. Oh, I had the Smoked palette, and I just didn't like it. It was too cool tone for me. But anyways, this is the first palette that I ever purchased in the high-end world. Yes, this is old. I got this when it first launched 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago or more than 3 years ago. I can't remember. But when it first launched and we first opened an Ulta in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So, this I was so happy about. Oh my god, and I don't care how old it is, I still use it. This is the Electric palette by Urban Decay. My favorite all-time shade in this, or color in this palette has to be Thrash. It is the most beautiful electric citron. It's so pretty. It's just that beautiful lime green, and it's got a little bit of specks of glitter in it, but it's so pretty. And I love Chaos because it is that beautiful electric blue, and they still swatch really beautifully. I'm never getting rid of this. Oh, and I do have to note that I did have the Vice 3 palette. I had the Vice 3. I had the Vice 4, right? There was one that looked like an oil slick. That was Vice 4. And then I had the Vice LTD. I did not like the Vice LTD. I did not like, I loved the Vice 3, but I used that to death. And I actually, the first video that I think I filmed had the Vice 3 in it. So I'll link that down below. What else? Oh, I did have that oil slick. I think it was the Vice 4. I didn't care for it that much. It was pretty, but I was just like, eh. The Vice palettes are very iffy with me just because the quality in the eyeshadows weren't there. I did buy the Alice in Wonderland palette, but I ended up returning it because I could not use anything else from it. After I did that review, I was very impressed with it, but then when I started using it, so that's why you have to really be careful. Make sure you use it, and I think that's why I'm going to do like live, not live, but you know, demonstration on how to use it to really determine what I think about the palette. I'm trying not to make my channel too much of a review channel, but I mean, if people want to purchase an eyeshadow, and I find myself doing this too, I look on YouTube and I see any eyeshadow looks that come up, and not that many come up, so I'm very like, I want to make sure that you guys get a look out of it and continued use out of it as well. So I will do like updates. Sorry, you can see my Sports Pro. I'm wearing a black t-shirt dress. But yeah, yeah, I will do more looks on any palette you guys ask for that I have in my collection. So yeah, this is my favorite palette. This was my very first one, but I did have Vice palettes. This one is actually a palette that I got the metal casing, and these are the singles that I have gotten throughout the past. I do have Solstice, which is my favorite Moondust shadow. I have Zodiac, and I have, this is what, Midnight Cowboy Rides Again. It was a birthday gift. And then this one has Half Baked and Twice Baked in it. It's like, it was a Sephora summer kit, so there's the swatches of them right there. I know it's very light and you can't really see, but it was this one was part of a summer kit, So I was really happy that I got pretty much 2 colors in one. I don't use it at all, really. I've used Solstice a lot, and Zodiac I need to use a little bit more because I really love that. They're beautiful colors. So I got obsessed with the Moondust shadows. And then when the Moondust shadows became a palette, I was so excited. And I still love and use this palette. However, they are a lot smaller pans, and they are not the exact colors that they have in their regular Moondust collection. So that's the Moondust palette. I use Element a lot. I use Vega a lot. I don't use Lithium and Granite a lot because I'm just like, they're kind of cool tone for me. But I will use them more. I think I need to use... That's why I want to show you my collection so that I can see what other looks I can come up with, and you guys can help me with that. So this is my Urban Decay collection. I have a little bit more, and then I will just close out this video. Alright, so now I'm going to pull out my Too Faced palettes. Now, do note that, you know, a lot of these palettes might be a little bit older or not available, so I'm sorry if I'm showing you stuff that's not available, but I'm pretty sure if you are makeup junkie like I am, you would have these on hand, or you just managed to find some, because honestly, if they're discontinued, I know that Nordstrom Rack, Marshalls will have these palettes, and sometimes Haute Look will have these palettes. So if you manage to stock those stores and see them and you like the fact, you know, you like the look of them, get them. I mean, they're going to be cheaper. So first things first, my Too Faced collection, I had the chocolate bar palette, but I used that one to pieces, so I'm done with that one. But this is my go-to everyday, like if I'm lazy or if I'm traveling, I use this guy a lot. This is the Peanut Butter palette by Too Faced. And as you can see right here, I don't know if you can see it on camera, I hit pan like a long time ago on that one, but I use Extra Creamy to set my bases all the time. This is my favorite one to set my bases. So it's like that perfect cream color where I can just pack it on after my primer is on, and I've used that to death. My go-to crease shade has to be this one, and that one is Spread the Love. So this one is more of like a kind of like a peach with a little bit of glitter in it, but it's perfect for blending out a lot of things because I use peanut butter a lot. That's what this palette's based on. I use peanut butter a lot in my crease. I don't really use jamming or jelly that much, the purple ones, because they're not that interesting to me. But yeah, I do love this palette for every day, and I take it with me. If I travel, I take it with me. So next palette is the Totally Cute palette, which I actually got for my niece too. I got this because my niece had it, but Double Scoop is so much like Extra Creamy, and I don't know if you can see on camera. Come on, come on. There is a dip in there. There's a huge dip in there because I use it a lot. I love Storm Cloud, which I've used quite a bit. As you can see, there's that dip in there. I use Double Scoop a lot. I don't use I Love Too Faced, that pink one, that much. But if you want to see a look on this palette, I definitely can do one because there's so much I can do with this. If there's a palette out there that I can do a lot with, then I will use it to death. So this one I think I'm going to use to death. That's why I still have it. I am not a Too Faced eyeshadow person. I typically don't go for the Too Faced eyeshadows, but if they're very, like these little guys, I have the honey palette too. These guys are so compact and easy to travel with, and you can create a ton of looks with them as long as they look pretty ideal. Now I do have the honey palette. This is not my favorite palette after using it extensively. As you can see, it doesn't have that signature creamy white, like almost like a cream shade. Really doesn't, because they're kind of either too sparkly or have a hint of sparkle, or too light. Oh, not too light, too dark, because like this one is a little bit too dark. This one is not pigmented that much, but I do use that as a substitute if I don't want to bring out my other palettes. I am not a fan of this palette. The colors are a little lackluster for me, but I keep it because it reminds me of my niece, because I've got her one as well. So I mean, that's why I keep the Too Faced ones, because they always remind me of my 16-year-old niece. She's, you know, makeup junkie like I am. So anyways, I actually had purchased this when it first came out, and then I know that they did a relaunch, and I mean, I was just like, whatever. And then after a time, I just stopped using it, so I actually gave it to somebody so that, you know, they could have it. But then I got this, and I do want to note that I did get this as for work, but this is the second launch when they made it permanent. There's a difference in the formula. I noticed that. The first launch, it was much creamier. The second launch, it still smells like peach. It reminds me of a doll. And I did do a real pretty look that I've been trying to duplicate, and I'll link that down below on the first launch. But these are a lot drier than the first launch. So I did notice a change in formula. They didn't state that they changed the formula, but I noticed there was a change in formula. So I was like, what the heck? So I'm not crazy about this palette right now, but I do use it as every day. I am going to keep it because this is, you know, this is important. It reminds me of my niece. My niece has one too. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just see what I can pull out of it. I want to love it. That's the thing. I have a love-hate relationship with the peach palette. So, all right, so the last bit, I've got Buxom, and I've had more customized Buxom shadows. If you don't know anything about Buxom, actually you can customize your own palette, or you can get pre-selected ones. I think there's 3 of them. Now 4, because there's the White Russian palette, and then there's 3 other ones that are pretty basic. But I wanted to customize my own, so I had 2 of them. I had a smoky one, and then I had one that was just built with shimmers and just beautiful colors. But I have then passed them on because I don't use them as much. But this one, these had limited edition ones that were exclusive to Sephora, which I was very, very upset because why doesn't Ulta get these beautiful exclusive colors? I don't understand, but these are the colors that I had picked. These are all the colors, and there's 6 of them. What the Buxom is cool about is that you can slide out the tray that holds them, and you can pop them out like that. So, and then you can pop them back in, and then slide it back in to make the palette. The only gripe I have is that I can never remember what colors I've used because I don't remember the names. You have to pop it out, pop them individually out so that you can get the shadows. But this one's my favorite one. And I probably should have looked at the color before I put it back in. This one is Twilight Triced. And that's what it looks like. It's that beautiful like teal, but it's more of like a reddish brown shift. But it's more teal on the eyes. I really love it all over my lid. And then I love popping this one, which is Silver Screen. It's a lilac purple silver. So it's got a little bit of purple tinge to it. It's really, really pretty. I love it. So, all right. So the last 3 that I have in my collection are these Smashbox ones. I had Golden Hour, but I actually passed it on to my niece. I didn't use, was it Golden Hour? I think it was Golden Hour. But that one I didn't use at all. I got it and I was just like, I'm not going to use it, so I gave it to my niece. But I did get this one. This was an exclusive online, but it was a Blaze. I haven't even taken off their little plastic things. Oh yeah, this one I did. But I love this because it is my travel warm tone palette. So anytime I go out of town or visit my family, this is the palette that I love using the most, and this is the palette that I take with me. I take all 3 of these. Then I have the Smoked palette, which is the one I had purchased from work, and this one is gorgeous. It's beautiful. They swatch beautifully. They're more cool tone for me, but it's just beautiful. I love the green in this one. It's just so pretty. And the purple. It's like a kind of like a plummy purple. These are so beautiful, and I love this palette. So I use that a lot. And then this one's my fun one. This is my this is the Bold palette. So it's typically just a rainbow, but they are matte and they swatch beautifully. Like the red is like, that's hard to do. It's a little bit more pinky tone red. It's right there. And then the yellow's right there. It's more pinky tone red. You do have to be careful with it because sometimes they can get a little bit muddy. So you need to have not the white base, because I know that if you have a white base with it, it makes them pop more. But I noticed when I did a look, like I did a 2-eye thing, they looked really muddy and they looked choppy. So using a white base is a little bit hard, but I think I'm going to play with it some more. So I will revisit this palette a lot. I think I might keep this guy out. Just so that I can play with it more. And then it's very small, so I really don't have to worry too much about it. But I love these Smashbox palettes. These are the Cover Shop palettes, they're so beautiful. They're so well made. So yeah, that's pretty much, I think, all my palettes. So, sorry, I keep playing with my hair. My hair's at that length where it's like, it's long, but it's not. And then I'm trying to let my hair naturally part in the middle, because I'm just trying to do my hair different nowadays. Just let it go natural. As you can see, I went black so that I can fade to my natural color. I had to tone it to get the green out, and then I had to deposit some black on there. My hair's a little bit dry, but not bad. I'll get it back to health by using my K-Pack from Joico. I love that stuff. But yeah, this is exactly what I wanted out of this video. I wanted to show you all the palettes that I do have so that you guys can see what I have, and then that way you guys can request a specific video on a palette you saw in this video, so that way you guys can decide what you want to see, and if you have that palette you can say, all right, then I want a tutorial out of that, so you know another way to use it. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed this. It's not in any way, shape, or form to show off what I have, because it's not easy to have this much. But luckily I do work in the makeup world, so that's why I have so many of them. And you know, a lot of it is just I've worked very hard for, so I'm very proud of it. And my husband's one that does not, you know, he's just like, if you want it, get it. And I'm always like, don't tell me that, because I will. But no, he's really good and supportive about my artistry. As you can tell in all the palettes I showed you, I used a lot of it. I don't just hoard palettes for the fun of it. I use it. I will use it to death, because I believe in eyeshadows. They're the ones that really express my artistry, and that's what I love about them. But I want to show you some cool device really quick before I end this video. I found this at Marshall's. I already tried using it, but I found this for $3 at Marshall's. I don't know if they have anymore, but you slide it on like a cuff. I feel like a medieval like warrior. Anyways, it has a little spot here, and I'll grab a brush, a dirty one. Okay, it has a little spot here for your brush. Isn't that cool? And then these parts right here, it's a color switch. So you clean your brush off and you can use it again, and then you can just put it there in case you're going to grab it again. But I thought that was so cool, because there was, I don't know if you guys know, but I do watch Face Off a lot. It's a special effects show, and there's this guy that developed a wrist brush holder. So when he does makeup, so I think this is really cool when you do makeup, because then you could have that, a couple brushes, maybe you can fit a couple brushes in there and just kind of clean them off while you're applying makeup. So that's why I wanted to get this, so that when I apply makeup. But I love the fact that it looks like a medieval cuff, so I feel like a warrior. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys that really quick, speaking of eyeshadows. But yeah, that's the end of my video. If you want to see any other collection videos, I can do that. I have them in boxes and organized so that I can just pull them out and show you. If you want to see bronzers, highlights, foundations, anything you want. I don't have a ton, like most YouTubers, on foundations and bronzers and stuff. Usually my blushes, if I have a lot of them, it's usually like stuff I've gotten on clearance, stuff that I have accumulated through work, like stuff that I found at work that was like a additional whatever, because you know we have those special sales for associates for their hard work, or it's just like a trainings, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I'll show you what I have if you ask for it. So thank you guys so much for being so patient with me. And I know I haven't posted a whole lot of videos. I'm trying my best. I am in the middle of moving, so I want you guys to be patient a little bit more. I will try and get videos at least 2 up a week, if not 1 at least. But yeah, that's it. If you're wondering what's on my lips, by the way, I know I'm random right now. This is Juju from Bare Minerals. It is my favorite everyday liquid lipstick, and it's so comfortable and nourishing and moisturizing. And plus my dog's name is Jujubee, so that's why I got it. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.